Is Alex Eala's success a result of genuine star power, in your opinion, or is it merely the transient excitement generated by the Filipino community? Please share your honest opinion here.
From tennis fans once again after Aryna Sabalenka said that she would not be getting any star treatment at the Slams next year. I'll discuss whether Aryna is truly being snubbed by the swoosh brand.
Alex Eala, a 20-year-old from the Philippines, ranked outside the top 100, generated more attention, more crowd energy, and more media coverage than Aryna Sabalenka, the defending Australian Open champion and world number one. That's not an exaggeration or biased interpretation. That's documented reality based on attendance figures, viewership data, and social media metrics.
She's been in the headlines this season alone multiple times, first for smashing her racket following her Australian Open loss to Madison Keys, and then, of course, that infamous Roland Garros press conference situation where she downplayed Coco Gauff's success, and she faced a lot of criticism for that.
Sabalenka is playing championship-level tennis on center courts with perfect scheduling and premium broadcast slots. She's demolishing opponents with her trademark power game, hitting aces and crushing ground strokes exactly like everyone expected. And she's doing it in front of scattered crowds with empty seats visible in the stands. Meanwhile, Eala is playing on outer courts, the small venues designed for early round matches, and generating such massive crowds that security had to be increased because fans were climbing fences and trash cans trying to get sight lines. The specific numbers are absolutely mind-blowing. Tournament directors confirmed that when I was scheduled for Court 6, which holds approximately 1,500 people, over 5,000 fans showed up. They couldn't all fit. They overwhelmed the facility. Security logs show they exceeded fire safety limits by 300%. People were literally hanging from music fences, screaming support in a way you'd expect at a World Cup football match, not a polite tennis tournament. And here's where it gets truly embarrassing for Sabalenka. While she was playing a televised match on center court, Eala was doing warm-up drills on Court 10, just practice shots, not even a competitive match. And the viewership data from Southeast Asia and the Pacific showed that 40% more people were watching Eala's warm-ups than Sabalenka's actual competition. Read that again. Practice drills drew higher viewership than the defending champion's match. That statistic has sent advertisers and tournament organizers into complete panic because it signals a fundamental shift in who actually moves the needle for tennis viewership. It's not the player with the best results or the highest ranking. It's the player who connects emotionally with massive demographics that previously didn't care about tennis. The contrast between how these two players are being treated by fans and media is stark. Sabalenka walks into press conferences and gets asked about fan base instead of her own performance. She's giving technically perfect answers about her game, and reporters are ignoring her to ask follow-up questions about the Filipino phenomenon happening 50 yards away on the outer courts. That has to be psychologically devastating. You're the world number one. You're the defending champion. You're playing the best tennis of your life. And you're being treated like a supporting character in someone else's story. The queen is watching the crown slip away in real time. And there's nothing she can do about it because this isn't about tennis quality. It's about cultural connection. The Melbourne Park grounds have been transformed. Normally at Grand Slams, you see flags from dozens of countries scattered throughout the crowds. This year it's an ocean of red, blue, and yellow. Filipino flags everywhere. The chanting is so loud it drowns out the PA system on adjacent courts. The atmosphere is more like a Davis Cup tie, where national pride is on the line than an individual tournament. Sabalenka represents peak tennis excellence. She's a physical marvel who plays with ruthless efficiency, but she's also somewhat cold and distant from a fan perspective. Her game is perfect, which makes it predictable. Viewers know she's going to win, so there's no suspense. Flawlessness kills drama. Eala represents the exact opposite. She's the underdog fighting against physical disadvantages. She's significantly smaller than most opponents, so she compensates with tactical brilliance and defensive skills learned at the Rafael Nadal Academy. Every rally feels like a survival scenario. Every win feels like an upset. The drama is built into her matches automatically because nobody expects her to win. And beyond the tennis, Eala carries symbolic weight that Sabalenka can't match. For millions across Southeast Asia and the Philippines specifically, Eala represents proof that their people deserve a spotlight on the global stage. She's not just a tennis player. She's a cultural ambassador, demonstrating that you can rise from a developing nation with minimal tennis infrastructure and compete with the elite. Sabalenka fights for trophies and ranking points. Eala fights for representation and national pride. That emotional gap is why the popularity scales have tipped so dramatically. A Sabalenka ace gets polite applause. An Eala winner brings people to tears. The emotional investment is completely different. The nickname, the era that's emerged around Eala is particularly significant. It started as a hashtag, a social media trend that fans used to celebrate her matches. But it's evolved into something bigger. It's now a declaration that Philippine music tennis has arrived permanently on the global stage. Before Eala, Southeast Asian players made occasional appearances at majors and then disappeared. The nickname suggests this time is different. This is the beginning of sustained excellence, not a temporary flash that terrifies traditional tennis powers in Europe and America because it signals a demographic shift in the sport. If Eala triggers the same cultural explosion that Tiger Woods created in golf or Serena Williams created in tennis for black athletes, the entire business model of professional tennis changes. New markets open, new sponsors appear, the power structure shifts toward Asia. The financial implications are already visible. Reports confirm music that Nike, Adidas, and Wilson are in bidding wars for Eala's endorsement. They recognize that signing her isn't just about one athlete. It's about accessing an entire corner of the globe, music that previously didn't engage with tennis. The potential revenue from capturing the Filipino market and broader Southeast Asian demographics is music astronomical. Meanwhile, Sabalenka already has her endorsement deals locked in. She's financially secure, but she's watching companies throw bigger money at a lower-ranked player, because that player has something she doesn't. Cultural reach that transcends the sport. The tactical evolution in Eala's game is also significant because it proves this isn't just empty hype built on nationalism. She's actually good enough to justify the attention. Her serve, which was a weakness as a teenager, has become a legitimate weapon. She uses her left-handed slice serve to pull opponents wide and create angles similar to how Rafael Nadal dominated opponents with his serve patterns. But the biggest improvement is mental. In a recent match against a higher-seeded American opponent, Eala lost the first set badly. The old version of her would have collapsed music mentally and lost in straight sets. Instead, she steadied herself, used the crowd energy to fuel a comeback, and won in 3 sets. That mental toughness is what separates players who have potential from players who actually achieve success at the highest level. Sabalenka struggles when crowds turn hostile. She's admitted in interviews that negative energy affects her performance. Eala feeds on chaos. The louder the crowd, the better she plays. That's an intangible advantage that can't be replicated through training or coaching. It's personality-based, and it gives her a weapon that rankings don't capture. The economic impact on Melbourne has been quantified at approximately $15 million in additional tourism revenue over 2 weeks. Fans are flying in from Singapore, Jakarta, Hong Kong, and throughout Southeast Asia, specifically to watch Eala play. They're not coming for the tournament generally. They're coming for her specifically. That's the definition of a cultural phenomenon rather than just a sports story. The reports from Manila are even more dramatic. When Ella plays, traffic in the capital disappears. Corporate productivity drops to zero. Professors cancel classes to project the match for students. This is the same level of obsession that the Philippines demonstrated for Manny Pacquiao during his boxing prime. But tennis has zero cultural roots in the Philippines compared to boxing or basketball. The fact that EA is generating this response for a foreign sport shows how powerful her symbolic importance has become. Sabalenka has to be processing all of this and wondering how she became irrelevant at a tournament she's dominating. She's playing better tennis than Ella. Her results are superior. Her ranking is higher. And none of it matters because popularity isn't about who plays better. It's about who connects with audiences emotionally. The press conference incident where reporters asked Sabalenka about Eala's fan base instead of her own performance was particularly brutal. She smiled and answered professionally, but you could see the frustration. She's there to discuss her path to another championship. And nobody cares because they're all obsessed with the Filipino qualifier playing on outer courts. That's a psychological blow that's hard to overcome. It forces you to confront the reality that being the best player doesn't automatically make you the most important player. Star power operates independently of tennis skill. And right now, Eala has it while Sabalenka doesn't. The comparison to previous cultural shifts in tennis is instructive. When Serena Williams emerged, she brought massive new audiences to the sport. When Maria Sharapova became famous, she opened Russian markets and made tennis cool with younger demographics. When Li Na won Grand Slams for China, the entire business model of tennis changed, music to accommodate Asian markets. Eala appears to be triggering that same kind of shift, but specifically for Southeast Asia and the Filipino diaspora globally. Wherever there are Filipino communities, Eala now has built-in fan bases that will show up and create atmospheres like what we saw in Melbourne. That's a competitive advantage that lasts for her entire career. The question is whether this surge is sustainable or just a temporary spike based on novelty. The nickname, the era, suggests fans believe it's permanent. The investment from major sponsors suggests corporations believe it's permanent. The infrastructure changes being discussed by tennis authorities to accommodate larger crowds for her matches suggests everyone is preparing for this to be the new normal. Sabalenka is probably hoping this is temporary. Music, and that once EA loses or gets injured, everything will revert to normal, but history suggests otherwise. Once a demographic starts caring about a sport because of one player, they tend to stay engaged even after that player is gone. Serena Williams brought fans who now watch other players. Tiger Woods brought viewers, music, who still watch golf. The shift EA is creating likely outlasts her individual career. The final twist is that Ella doesn't even have to win the tournament to cement this narrative. If she loses tomorrow, it doesn't, music, change what's already happened. She's already proven she can command global attention.